Welcome back, everybody, to a breakdown video. This is a segment where we take a champion from predecessor and pair them with a prominent figure within the predecessor community, and we break everything down. I have the pleasure of introducing to you an amazing jungler from Press Tab, the team that you probably have seen in the PCC events. He is a 65% win rate on Shinbi, and he's absolutely out of his mind for having 6,000 plus hours on the champion. How's it going, Bear?
It's going. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Now, I know there's a little weird elephant in the room. I know you know that I dislike Shinbi for a multitude of reasons, whether it be how hard it is to play her, she's not controller friendly, weird comp things that happen. I can keep going on and on. But for you, you don't feel that way. So I want you to tell my community why you think I'm wrong, because you know my tier list has her close to the bottom. What's that reason? Why should people play her?
So the first thing is, I know you're a big fan of Grux. I watched the tier list. You have him S in, I believe, 3 roles or
Yep,
OP in 1.
yep.
Um, Shinbi actually does a great job against Grux in offlane. She can space Grux and poke him down with her Q. And once she gets him within a certain threshold, can commit to a full trade and actually outbox the Grux. Outside of that, because I am known more so as a jungler, uh, in jungle, in pubs, she is one of the best scaling champions in the game. If you're looking for a character that can hard carry you into late game, Shinbi is that character. Her one-shot potential is matched really only by Kalari, who is another great pub stomp character. Her ability to scale and just roam around the map and feast on the enemy's mid to late game, it's so good in pubs. When we talk about comp, yeah, maybe she falls down a bit. When you're in coordinated gameplay, she gets CC'd kind of hard. It's easy to focus her. You know, a steal stun, a steal ult, and then you have 4 people looking at you, and all of a sudden you have a dead jungler. In offlane, you can get away with kind of with like a split push strat, but it's a bit cheesy and overall not super consistent.
All right. So where would you put her on my list? What would you?
If we're talking pubs specifically, I'm probably giving her an A. Just super reliable pub stomp character.
All right, all right. So you're saying she's good. She's saying she's good. All right. You might have convinced me, but I'm gonna have to, set that aside for now because we're talking about the champion. Biased aside, every game starts with one decision, and that decision typically is a crest. What crest are you busting out for Shinbi?
90% of the time, my crest, I'm going obelisk. I'm going to keep saying this. Scaling. Shinbi is the best scaling champ in the game. Obelisk helps you scale even harder into late game. Once you are getting into mid to late game, you're at like 20 stacks. You pop Obelisk in combination with her passive, and you're just one shot and sending people to the Shadow Realm on cooldown.
All right, all right. So, all right, you're in lane. You've got an infinite gold, and you can buy 5 items right off rip. What are those 5 items? And is there a lot of choices out there for you? What are you thinking? 5 items.
The only thing when it comes down to choice with Shinbi is kind of whether you're going a full like mage assassin or whether you're going bruiser. For the sake of this, I'm going to be focusing more on like full assassin mage. So the first item that we're going to be picking up is Megacosm. All around, it's just like a super solid damage item. It does provide ability haste, so Shinbi loves spamming abilities. The shorter cooldown you can get those abilities on, the better for her. When we talk about, again, wanting to scale, Megacosm is the most farm effective item, or efficient rather. Once you pick up Megacosm, you kind of just clear camps as they come up, and you have a lot of time to actually go around and gank. Second item, I typically go Spirit of Emir most commonly. As we get past the early game, we have to consider objective fights and how sometimes those fights can become prolonged fights. So with the added sustain from the lifesteal from Spirit of Emir and the passive of if you're fighting in the jungle, you get additional lifesteal, it gives you a lot more playing room in drawn out fights. Third item we're going to look at is Wraith Leggings. So now we're getting into some flat pen to help us really secure damage on these squishy targets that don't have a lot of armor. so we're getting closer towards true damage. Once we have formed a big lead through just consistently farming with Megacosm and surviving these prolonged fights with Amir, we're going to start looking at one-shotting people now. Quick kill time, in and out ganks, so we can go back to, again, pushing our lead with farm, invading, going on to gank other lanes. With the second passive on Wraith Leggings, it's super easy to dash in, hit someone to Obelisk, get them below the 40% threshold, and use your ult to... It almost kind of turns into an execute at that point with how good Wraith Leggings' secondary passive is. If you get a big lead early on, you get 2 or 3 kills, you can actually switch Spirit of Amir and Wraith Leggings' position in the build. The last 2 items, they're just trying to close out the build. Caustica for your percent pen, now you're kind of being forced to deal with beefier targets. And then Oblivion Crown, it's the highest power item in the game to just further augment your insane late game scaling.
All right, I know that's a lot, and I know that's a lot for everybody that's out there. I'm going to have these builds on Ometa City. And I know you mentioned something that was a little bit different than the Assassin. What kind of build was it?
Yeah, so I do like a Bruiser Shinbi build. I usually run it if we have usually like no tank in dual lane and maybe like a Bruiser like Grux in off lane, just to help our other kind of sustained fight Bruiser with, you know, their task, kind of join in on them, stack that up.
Okay. I'm not going to let you go into too much more detail with that because there's got to be some type of material out there that you want from us that you can only get through liking, views, coming and talking to us. So if you want access to the Bruiser build from B and Bears, I'm going to ask you guys, throw a bunch of likes, comment, and then whenever you see that comment, I'll start throwing the build out there so that you guys can start interacting with us on a more personal level. That sound fair? That sounds fair. With that being said, you got your Crest, you got your build. Is there any considerations, counters, things that just don't like play friendly with Shinbi? Like things are like, you're like, oh, that's there, I'm not playing her. Is that out there?
Yeah, there's 2 characters that I have specifically in mind when I'm talking about, like, if I'm last pick in a draft and the enemy team has these 2 characters. One of them is Gadget. Gadget does a super great job of, like, when you're diving on her, she can just drop a gate on herself, which either stops your damage or you try to commit and you end up rooting yourself. She just drops ult and leaves. Not a lot of characters can get away from Shinbi. She's one of them, and she does a ton of damage while she's doing it. The other one is the big green menace, Sevarog. He is the true ultimate character that can space Shinbi. He has a dash that is equivalent to hers. He has an ult to throw her away. And the subjugate root, it's a great way to space himself and then leave you in a spot where the enemy team can just blow you up and you have nothing you can say or do about it.
All right, so do not pick Shinbi if Sevrog or Gadget are picked. Got it. All right, you know, I am not a Shinbi player. I've never played Shinbi. I probably will never play Shinbi, but I have hope. The hope is you, my friend. Give me something out of your back pocket, out of your toolbox that I can do, or some fancy tip trick thing that will make my time playing the champion better, easier, anything of the nature. Whatever you got, this is the time to pull it out of your pocket. What do you got for me? What kind of things can I practice, do? What's out there?
Yeah, the number one thing that if you're going to play Shinbi, you have to become good at using and just understanding in general. Understand and track your passive. Not understanding Shinbi passive is something I constantly see people struggle with. Taking bad trades because it's down for the start of the trade, ending trades they think they lose because they don't realize how much of an asset this passive really is. Like, the amount of trades alone that I've won at 0 mana just because this passive actually hits like crazy late game. On top of the raw damage, it does also stack your ultimate. That one stack can make or break a kill. When it comes to Shinbi, you just really need to understand how to get the most out of your kit, and I would recommend starting by learning the passive.
All right, so passive, check. Anything else? Anything else that's in your bag of tricks?
Yeah, absolutely. The dash is another one of her great assets. You have 3 seconds before you have to do that second dash. You don't always want to just double dash right away to just stack damage. You might want to dodge an ability, reposition to kind of divert attention or confuse an enemy, use it to get out of a bad trade that you took. Ultimately, this skill has a lot to do with team fight awareness in general, but just training yourself to not feel as if you have to spam the dash right away is a big step in the right direction. Also, super fun trick. If you're like me and you just try to farm objective steals because that's your gimmick, if you're fast enough, if you jump dash over the platform to get into Orb Prime or Fangtooth Pit, you can see the HP and still be high enough to quickly turn around and dash back out. And now that they've added the blast flowers in the game, it's just even easier.
All right, so that was wild. I didn't even try to think about doing that. I'm probably going to spend at least an hour trying to figure out how to do it, let alone capture it on film. So I'm probably going to ask you to showcase it so I can videotape it to show people that it's possible. With that being said, that is all we got for you guys today. If you like the content, please hit that like and subscribe. Go into the comment section. Tell us what we did right, what we did wrong. We like getting feedback from you guys. And with that being said, I know that some people may not know you. They may want to get some inspiration from you. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch at BN_Bears or on YouTube at BN_Bears MOBA.
Perfect. All right, guys. That's all we got for you guys today. Be blessed, be positive, and be safe. And until next time, peace.